In the heart of Tokyo, on March 20th, 1995, two men drove toward a subway station as rush hour loomed. They stopped at a convenience store. The driver bought two newspapers, while the passenger grabbed gloves, a knife, duct tape, and sandals. They continued their journey, and the driver dropped his companion near the station. The train was due soon, and indeed, it arrived. The passenger boarded the front car. 3 stops later, he pulled a package from his bag and dropped it on the floor. Wrapped in the newspapers they'd bought, he pierced it with the sharp tip of his umbrella, adding extra holes to ensure no liquid remained. The liquid left behind in Tokyo's subway was over 900 milligrams of sarin gas, one of the deadliest nerve agents on Earth. That morning, at the peak of rush hour, Tokyo was attacked. Emergency lines flooded with calls as people collapsed and died inside the trains. The perpetrator? A man named Ikuo Hayashi, one of 5 who had dispersed nearly 5 liters of sarin in narrow, poorly ventilated cars across 3 subway lines, Chiyoda, Hibiya, and Marunouchi, all converging at the heart of Tokyo's government district. This attack was ordered by a blind, paranoid man. But he wasn't just any man. He was a billionaire with an arsenal of chemical weapons and hundreds of devoted followers ready to deploy them. A man who brainwashed thousands through a twisted spiritual doctrine, convincing them that saving the world required destroying it. For those seeing me for the first time, I'm Lo-Fi, here to unravel the planet's darkest enigmas. As today, I'll tell you the story of the Tokyo sarin gas attack. And today, you won't lose focus for a second, because as I always say, no 2 stories are the same when I tell them. Shoko Asahara was born into a family of tatami mat makers. Blind in one eye and with limited vision in the other, he was sent to a special school where he used his partial sight to manipulate his fully blind classmates. Imagine, from childhood, he had only one functioning eye, yet it never psychologically burdened him. Instead, he orchestrated fights among peers and helped others visit the city. For a price. To them, a trip to the city was thrilling, a new world to explore. But his help came with strings, money and favors. Teachers described him as both kind and cruel. After 20 years of study, he graduated as a massage and acupuncture therapist, later adding herbal medicine to his repertoire. 3 years in, he met his wife through her family and opened an herbal drugstore. There, he discovered a new talent, selling snake oil. He amassed fortunes peddling fake cures. Sound familiar? Like those today hawking natural remedies claiming to cure incurable diseases. But Asahara wasn't subtle. When exposed, he faced jail, scandal, and ruin. His hatred for the state festered. During this low point, he turned to yoga and Eastern philosophy, adopting Buddhist concepts of karma and rebirth. He crafted his own interpretation, and with unshakable confidence, founded his new project, a yoga school, a publishing company, and the title of spiritual teacher. Determined to atone for past sins, he merged his salesmanship with newfound spirituality. Soon his image transformed. Magazine spreads showed him levitating. Photos surfaced with renowned gurus, and interviews broadcast his bizarre tales. The most pivotal, a claim that a goddess appeared to him in rural Japan, declaring him the god of light, destined to lead armies of deities to establish Shambhala, a kingdom to wage the final apocalyptic war. With TV appearances and radio interviews, the former tatami maker's son became Shoko Asahara, the cult leader whose followers would die for him. His group's name, Aum Shinrikyo, Supreme Truth. In his mind, he was a god. Proximity to him elevated one's status. He filtered followers through loyalty tests, targeting educated youth with lectures blending science and spirituality. His religion wasn't for the weak, he insisted. It was research-backed. He promised advanced labs and marketed himself to the lost. Sex ads targeted lonely men. Sweet-voiced women answered calls. Not all were convinced, but those who attended lectures became his Tier 1 followers, outward skeptics, inwardly curious. Tier 2 were the blindly loyal, believing his promises of supernatural powers, telepathy, flight, if they proved themselves. The cost? Severing all ties, family, possessions, even their names. Initiation rituals involved collective prayers, high-dose brainwashing, and weeks confined in tiny rooms. New recruits had to be single, forbidden from love or relationships. They endured grueling breathwork, 1,000 prostrations, backbreaking unpaid labor, and 3-hour sleep limits, all to break their minds. Hot, cold water torture, hours hung upside down. Asahara called it karma cleansing. In his twisted Buddhism, suffering erased bad karma. The late 1980s, his operation matured. No longer content with followers, he envisioned global domination under Operation Shambhala. He bought land near Mount Fuji, building isolated lotus villages, a state within a state. In September 1988, a follower showed mental distress. They hung him upside down, then plunged him into icy water to calm him. He died. The cover-up began. His body was burned, ashes scattered. But witness Shuji Taguchi threatened to expose them. Asahara's solution? Murder. 5 followers strangled Taguchi with tatami mats, Aum's first official kill. As the cult grew, so did scrutiny. Their colorful robes and cryptic beliefs drew attention. Enter lawyer Tsutsumi Sakamoto, an anti-cult activist with damning evidence of Aum's financial schemes and member coercion. Days before his TV interview exposing Aum aired, a team armed with hammers, syringes, and potassium chloride broke into Sakamoto's home at 3 a.m. They found him asleep with his family. He was hammered, injected, and strangled. His wife and toddler met the same fate. Asahara framed the murders as merciful acts to save souls. With no consequences, his ego ballooned. Enemies were evil to be purged. Aum saw themselves as spiritually superior, guardians of life and death. Asahara, now convinced he was Christ reincarnate, prophesied doom, Tokyo sinking, a 2003 US-Russia nuclear war. But how to fulfill prophecies? Through force. Aum's hierarchy mirrored a government. Top-tier members like financial whiz Kiyohide Hayakawa built a $1 billion empire, selling Asahara's bathwater $1,000 and blood $10,000. They seized members' assets, ran gyms, real estate, dating services, and even outsold competitors in Japan's PC market. Global expansion followed. Tea farms in Sri Lanka, sheep stations in Australia. Front companies bought tech and chemicals, later repurposed for drugs and weapons. Meanwhile, medic Ikuo Hayashi oversaw a clinic to monitor members, actually a torture site. Doctors drugged dissenters, erased memories with electroshock, even altered fingerprints. Physicist Hideo Murai pursued Asahara's wild demands. Earthquake machines, Tesla-inspired plasma weapons, all failed. As doubts grew, Asahara played recordings of global wars, claiming the CIA, Masons, and Japanese royalty were attacking them. To prove his divinity, he ordered an astronomical prediction. 9 days later, the 1995 Kobe earthquake killed 5,000, a miracle to his flock. The endgame began. Aum's health ministry spearheaded bioweapons. Top virologist Seiichi Endo abandoned Kyoto University to weaponize botulinum toxin. Trucks sprayed it over Tokyo and Narita Airport. Nothing happened. Next attempt? Anthrax. Endo cultured a harmless strain, then tried merging 2 strains to create a deadly variant. Tests killed birds and stank up their neighborhood, but attacks on Tokyo's streets failed. Chemical weapons fared slightly better. Tabun, mustard gas, hydrogen cyanide. 20 defectors were injected. All died. A journalist linked to Sakamoto survived a phosgene attack. Then, sarin. Colorless, odorless, lethal in minutes. Asahara obsessed over it. A sheep test in Australia succeeded. Next, humans. In 1994, they parked a van near lawyers suing Aum, pumping sarin vapor toward their building. A breeze diverted the gas into nearby homes. 3 died, 2 hospitalized. The lawyers survived, but sarin's potency was proven. Asahara ordered 70 tons for a Tokyo-wide attack, but a lab leak drew police. Soil samples revealed sarin traces near Aum's compound. Panicked, leaders destroyed evidence, building a fake prayer room over their lab. Then, a blunder. A fleeing member's brother was kidnapped. A witness reported the license plate. Police traced it to Aum. With raids imminent, insiders leaked the plans. Asahara pivoted. A subway attack in 2 days. No time for pure sarin. Masami Tsuchiya's team brewed 10 liters in 36 hours. The plan? Simple. Plastic bags and umbrellas. On March 20th, 5 teams hit 5 stations. Hayashi boarded a train, pierced his bag, and exited. Passengers like 26-year-old Izumi collapsed, lungs seizing. Another attacker, physicist Toru Toyota, released 900 milligrams of sarin, forcing an evacuation. In total, 13 died. 6,000 plus were injured. Had the sarin been pure, tolls would have soared. Police raided Aum's compounds, uncovering the weapon labs. Murai was assassinated by Yakuza. Asahara, found hiding in a secret room, was executed in 2018. The attack was terrifying, but it could have been so much worse. Tsuchiya had previously created sarin gas that was 70% pure. That was during an earlier attack on a group of lawyers. Back then, the gas was so potent that it turned into vapor and drifted into nearby homes, killing innocent people. That batch was extremely strong, but for the Tokyo subway attack, things were different. Under pressure and with very little time, Asahara ordered Endo to produce a new batch quickly. The result? A much less pure version of sarin. They were also panicking. A leak had occurred, and they suspected the police were closing in. In a rush, they destroyed much of their materials. They didn't have access to the right chemicals. If they had everything they needed, time, resources, and space, the outcome could have been far more devastating. And all of it was to fulfill one man's vision of ending the world. I'm telling you these stories so you can stay aware of what's happening around you, and to never assume that something like this can't happen to you or your loved ones. Brainwashing isn't a thing of the past. With today's technology, media, and overwhelming exposure, it's become easier than ever. There are people out there with a lot of money and a lot of psychological issues. Today, we're constantly comparing ourselves to others. Why? Because of what we see online. We're bombarded with images of wealth and success, levels most people will never reach. That kind of exposure leads to frustration, insecurity, and vulnerability. That's the perfect setup for manipulation. That's it for today's story. I hope you found it interesting. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And let me know in the comments. Did this story surprise you?